to another episode of More Sewing with Michele. This week, we are making things a little bit crazy here. First off, the topic that we have today and the item we're featuring is Kraft-Tex. What is Kraft-Tex exactly? Well, I'm going to show you that Kraft-Tex is just a bunch of fun to sew with. But before I get going, I have a special crossover announcement. Hey, Cathy, what's it like in your sewing studio today?
Hi, Michele. It's Cathy from Sewing Tech Talk with Cathy. I am so excited that you turned me on to Kraft-Tex. It's paper, it's fabric, you can paint on it, you can do tons of stuff with it. And look at the beautiful colors. I'm having such a good time. I made an eyeglass case. I'm using the Baby Lock Altair. What are you doing with Kraft-Tex, Michele?
Well, Cathy, on this week's More Sewing with Michele, I'm showing how to make these wonderful zip bags using the Kraft-Tex, and I'm showing how to fabric weave. Really fun and functional, and I've got one more that I'm working on. What are you making, Cathy?
Well, Michele, I'm doing this great triple eyeglass case. It holds your sunglasses, your reading glasses, your other glasses, and I do have a handout, and it's going to be on your landing page. Takes you through step by step. I'm using the Baby Lock Altair, and it shows you exactly how to do this because Kraft-Tex is absolutely awesome. I really enjoyed sewing on it.
I know exactly what you mean, Cathy. I totally enjoyed making my samples with Kraft-Tex. I can't wait to show everyone with a demo how to put it together. So that's coming a little bit later. But first off, let me talk just a little bit about Kraft-Tex. A lot of people think it's a fabric. They don't know if it's paper, but let me kind of debunk all the mystery and let you know exactly what Kraft-Tex is. Kraft-Tex is made with a wood fiber, and it makes into a paper-like substance. They add a bunch of stuff to it, and then they tan it, just like people would do with leather, which gives it that thick, durable, crunchy. It also gives the appearance of actual leather, and that's why we love Kraft-Tex. Now, the Kraft-Tex that we have for you today has been hand-dyed, and those colors are absolutely gorgeous. So you're thinking hand-dyed, and that's exactly what you're thinking is correct. You can wash Kraft-Tex. So when you wash Kraft-Tex, you can spot clean so you don't have to worry if you make a handbag and something gets on the side of it. You can clean it off. You can also put it in your washing machine. You're going to want to use cold water, a mild detergent, turn off your agitator if you have it, and put it on the delicate setting. But you can wash Kraft-Tex. That's how durable and wonderful this product is. Now let me get down to some of the other details with Kraft-Tex. So Kraft-Tex, oh my gosh, this stuff was so much fun. And like I said, let me show you this real quick. This is just a little zip bag that I made using fabric weaving. I'm going to show you the process in a little bit. And then I made this one that's a little off kilter, and that one was so much fun too. But let me talk a little bit more about Kraft-Tex. So Kraft-Tex comes in these vibrant, fun, hand-dyed in Italy. And because of that, each side kind of looks a little bit different. You can see that it's got a little bit of wrinkles. I'm telling you, it feels like leather. It's pretty thick, and that way it gives you substance. So sometimes when you're creating a bag or any sort of tote bag, zip bag, you oftentimes will not need a stabilizer because this stuff's pretty sturdy and thick already. And I love that about it. I love the feel to it. And I love all these wonderful colors that Kraft-Tex has. Now, some of the things, my little tips that I want to go over with you real quick. It's really difficult, and I don't recommend using a pin to pin your pieces together when you're sewing. So you're going to use those wonderful wonder clips that I showed in an episode before. And when I show you the demo in a little bit, you'll see how I use them. So no pinning. use your Wonder Clips to go through them. And also, let's talk about needles. Now, I think pretty much so most needles are going to go through this. You're not going to have any problems sewing through your Kraft-Tex. But I would stay away from 7511s. I would bump up the number a little bit, go to an 80 or a 90 needle, and that way you're going to have a little bit more of an oomph to it. So a 9014 or an 8012 would be better options than the 7511. Now, I choose to use just a universal. If I'm going through a lot of layers, if I'm doing it with batting or something like that, you may want to grab a jeans needle. But try what you have first. If you have a full line of needles, go ahead and start with the bottom, do a little test sew, and then see where you need to go. I have not had any issues sewing through it, and I've gone through many layers of the Kraft-Tex as well as batting and fabric along with it, and it sews without a hitch, so that's really good to know. What else? What else do I need to show? Oh, this will go through your scan and cut and also your AccuQuilt. So if you're doing applique or if you wanted a special shape, you can cut it on both of those machines, which is really good to know because we want to utilize it in all of our aspects of sewing. I think you're going to find that you're going to have so many ideas as far as what to do with the Kraft-Tex. Anywhere that you would put leather, this is a vegan option for you. And I'm very textile. That's why I like my quilts when they get crunchy. I love the feel of things. So I like going from, maybe a shiny satin to something more rough. So it's just going to be a lot of fun for you to create with. And what else? What else do I need to tell you? I think that's about it as far as sewing. Some people will often use that glue stick to kind of put the pieces together, but it's all up to you, and it all depends upon what you're actually sewing. But let's get to the demo, and let me show you exactly what I'm creating today. So, Kraft-Tex is really cool. You can print on it, you can rubber stamp on it, you can emboss, you can score it, you can sew it, which is why I have it here today. So, here is basically the covering for it. In your package that you can pick up today, it comes with 6 sheets, and each of these sheets are 8.5 by 11. You get all of the different colors of Kraft-Tex. And keep in mind, it can be ironed. And a couple other tips is you're going to want to drop your stitch length a little bit bigger so that you do not perforate that paper. So if you normally stitch at like a 1.8, which is where I usually am, you're going to want to increase that to probably like a 2.5. And that way the stitches are going to be further apart and you're not going to have any problems with perforating. The only time that I would change that and have those stitches a little bit closer is if you're going around a corner because you don't want it to be boxy corner. So that's the only thing with that. And also keep in mind, since it is a paper product, when you're using your scissors or your rotary cutter, I like to have a blade or a pair of scissors that are designated so that I'm not dulling up my perfectly wonderful sewing scissors that I go ahead and want to have sharp, and also that rotary cutter. So a good thing is if you have a blade that maybe is getting a little bit dull, put it in a case by itself, label it Kraft-Tex, and then you'll know you can use that one. It's still sharp enough to cut, but you're not going to dull one of your brand new blades. And the other thing is Kraft-Tex will not shrink. So it's a great product. Now keep in mind, you're going to want to pick yours up at moors-sew.com, or you can click on the link in the description and pick up your package of Kraft-Tex so that you can get sewing and make the zip bags that I have for you. But keep in mind, Cathy's video, she is included, and you'll have this on the link in my landing page, the instructions for her eyeglass case. So isn't that sweet? Thank you, Cathy, for doing that. And don't forget, you're going to pick up your Kraft-Tex at moors-sew.com. So let me show you how to actually sew on the Kraft-Tex. So I have just a little piece of fabric that I've attached to a small piece of batting. I went ahead just for convenience, just did a pre-stitch all the way around so that these are nice and contained. And then I have cut my Kraft-Tex into these wonderful strips. I've got 6 of them there. And then I went ahead, for the sake of time, and made my own little like biased tape with some green fabric. So all I did was cut and then fold it to the center so that I have a nice straight strip. And I have 2 strips of the woof of the fabric on this one. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this, I'm going to go ahead and secure it down to the base fabric. And to do that, my wonderful Quilter Select fabric glue. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of the dab to it. And let me put it on the bed of the machine so that you can see. So just going to add a little dab. Go ahead and add my strip like so. Go a little bit further over. Add another strip. And I am deliberately leaving it so that there is fabric showing in between. That one came up a little. Let me push down. And I am just freehanding it today. If you were doing this at home, you might want to actually measure so that your spaces in between are perfect. And do I have room for the one? Yes, room for the last strip here. I'll add that one too. Okay, and then for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to change the settings on my machine. I'm making sure that the stitch length, normally I like it at a 1.8. I'm going to raise it. We're going to go to 2.4. And I also am doing the tacking stitch at the beginning and the end. And that way, I don't have to worry about it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to sew just really close to the edge. I do not have a walking foot on here. If your machine is going to give you a little bit of grief, go ahead and put your walking foot on. It's always a good idea anytime you're doing multiple layers. Okay, so let me cut that. So now we've got this nice and secured. And you can see in the camera, I've got those down. Now the next step is you're going to take your fabric strip and you're going to weave it through. And this will take a little bit of time. You're going to have patience, excuse me. So you're going to go this one above and then you're going to pull this one over like so, that one under, and so on and so forth until you get to the other end. And I am double checking that the tops look about straight. And then once I'm there, I'm going to go ahead and snip so I end up with something like that. Let me show it on the other camera. Something like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and secure. Whoops. There we go, making sure that everything's where I want it. I like to pull the fabric just to give it a little bit of tautness. And I'm once again going to sew that down there. I'm going to turn to the other side. Once again, pull to make sure that it's nice and straight. You don't want any slack in between. And then I'm going to secure that one to this side. And then you're going to continue this process of weaving. So I've got it down that way. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another strip. So this one, this first strip is over. So this next strip, when I add it, the Kraft-Tex is going to be under. And then you're just going to flip-flop. Once you get the little technique, it's super fast, super easy. I love it. I think it's fun to kind of watch it transform in front of you. I'm going to pull this back so that I kind of have squares. You can see there now I have squares. Once I'm happy with the way it looks, I will go ahead and secure it on the one side. And then I'm going to pull it. Once again, I'm giving a nice little tug to make sure there's no slack. And then I will go ahead and secure the other side. And that's how easy it is to add it. So let me trim up. I'm going to add one more strip, and we're going to go like the first one, where this first strip, I'm going to go under the Kraft-Tex and then over, under, over. So let me add that again. Now you can get really different looking patterns with Kraft-Tex. If you go in different angles, you'll see that it looks completely different. That looks good to me, so I'm going to go ahead and secure the one side. Go ahead and cut. So I've got that side secured, and once again, I'm going to pull this to make sure that there's no gaps and everything's nice and taut, and then I will sew that side. There we go. Now, once you're happy, turn around. Once you're happy with the way it looks, what I like to do, because you don't want this getting loose, what I like to do is to do a securing stitch on top. There's lots of different ways. There's no right or wrong. I'm just going to simply sew, I think, straight down the center of these. And 1 second, and I'll be back with that. And there you go. I've got some fabric weaving done. So isn't that fun? And that's how easy it is. Literally, you can take something, this looks very expensive and time-consuming, but it's just a matter of doing some prep work, knowing your skills, sewing, make sure that you use your machine's abilities and capabilities to your advantage, and you can end up with something like this. So, showed you how you can create and do some fabric weaving with Kraft-Tex and regular fabric. You can take this, turn it into this. I simply use different color fabrics. I use 2 different colors of Kraft-Tex as well. Same process that I did with the green, and made, just added some fabric for the inside of this zip bag. But I wanted to show you real quickly how I do my finished zippers for zip bags and also purses that I make. So I have kind of a unique way that I do. I like to add fabrics on both sides of the zipper, and then add these, it's kind of like an envelope. So let me get to the video to show you how I do it. Okay, so I'm working on this cool zip bag here. You can see I've gotten the base done. I've went ahead and I've already weaved the fabric and the Kraft-Tex. But I wanted to show you kind of how I do my special zippers. So you can see here I have my zipper, and then I have, basically I add fabric to both sides. Let me hold it up close so you can see real good. So you can see I've added some detail stitching, and then I'm going to add these strips here so that it makes a finished zipper. And it's the way I love to do zippers, and that's it for the first step. Okay, so step 2 on my video here, you see that I already have a nice piece attached to one side of the zipper. And in the back for the inside, I have this other piece of fabric, which also coordinates with the bag's front. So I have a 1/4 inch that attaches them together. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to do this so that you get a finished looking zipper. I love them. I think they make the zippers flow better. And I think overall it just looks like a more professional zip bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back piece fabric, and I'm going to simply line it up with the side of the zipper. I'm going to pull this zipper down so that it's out of the way. And all that I'm going to do, you can see that I have on this particular machine, I have my walking foot with my zipper attachment. And I'm going to sew just a scant distance away from the side, making sure that everything is lined up. And I'm going to just continue down the side of the zipper. I'm going to stop, pull the zipper up so that the zipper is now out of the way. And then just continue to add that to the side, all the way to the very end. Now the reason I do that is basically just to baste in the back piece so that it does not shift during the time when I add the top piece. Now the top piece, these pieces are 2.5-inch strips that I have ironed in half. And that way it gets the finished edge. You can see that the folded edge is here and the raw edges are lined up against here, so that when it folds open, you'll see that it's got the folded side, which makes it nice and neat and crisp for when you're attaching everything together. So I'm now going to put this in. I'm going to now sew 1/4 inch away. So I'm going to change my foot here, and I'm going to make sure that my stitch length is where I like it, right at about 1.9. I'm going to add this in, and then I'm going to drop my foot, and all I'm doing is having the side of my foot here to the side of the fabric. Once again, I need to move that zipper out of the way until I get to that area. And just very slowly, I'm going to stitch. And then I will move that zipper again a little bit out of the way. Now, when I like to add my zipper and move it up top, I will raise my foot and then simply slide it up above where I'm working. Drop it down, continue to stitch. Now, being that I'm going through so many layers, sometimes I will go a little bit slower. And almost done. Okay. Let me show you what that looks like. So now I've got this added on. Now when I fold it open, that's when the magic happens. Let me turn it to the, oh, this is the front side. So now when I hold it open, you can see it looks so precise. I love the pattern. I love the fabrics. I just love the way it turns out. And your zipper, you can move back and forth wherever you need. So that's how I do my kind of finished zippers. And then I will show you the next part in just a second. Welcome back upstairs to the studio. So I've got the one sheet that I'm ready to go, and I went ahead and I'm going to show you how to attach it. But I went ahead and attached one sheet with that wonderful finished zipper area. Remember that with the Kraft-Tex, you may want to use your Wonder Clips because it's hard to pin. But you can see how I have an envelope here, and I'm simply will slide in my piece, securing it on both sides, and like so, sew it together. So I'm going to get that done real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so let me get this done. And there you go. I've added that second piece on. So now you can see I've got this finished zipper. And I love the way it looks, that the zipper isn't all the way to the end of the bag. Not only does it look more professional, but it also keeps those teeth away from your salvage area at the end when you're sewing it together. So I love it. I think it's a win-win when we go ahead and do that. And that way everything's secured and it looks more professional. So on the inside, because I used another flap, you can see that I have it secured and it looks more professional on the inside. You don't see any of the rough edges. They're all encased and they look great. So the next step is I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to use my Wonder Clips and I'm going to clip it together like so. And then I'm simply going to sew around all three sides, making sure that your zipper is in the center area. You want to make sure that you have an area to be able to turn it once you're done. And then I'm also going to box my corners. And then this zip bag's done. So let me get to it. Okay. So I've got all of it sewn together. I have the opening. I'm going to go ahead and birth it. So I'm going to simply pop it through the opening like so. It's kind of like wrangling it. And then when I get to this point, I love to pop out those things. Now, once again, professional tool turner comes in handy. So I like to pop out those corners. And let me get the rest of it going here. So just a little bit more. And because of these corners where all this Kraft-Tex meets, you're really going to want to use your professional tool turner. But there you go. The zip bag's done now. Let me put that down so you can see the zipper on the top is very much so secured. It's got those fabrics on both sides. And it's just a really fun, cute zip bag. My mom's going to love this for Christmas. So, Kraft-Tex, zip bags, fabric weaving. We have the 3 different types that we have. So there you have it. We have the zip bag that I showed you online. We have the other one with my K facette. And then we have the other ones that we've weaved. I have so enjoyed showing you how to weave with Kraft-Tex and fabric. But wait, this crossover event has even more. Let me go back to Cathy real quick.
Thanks for having me, Michele. It was a blast joining you from my sewing room, and it was really fun making this project on Kraft-Tex. Thanks for having me, and if you haven't come see me on Sewing Tech Talk with Cathy, come on over and I'll show you how to make this. We'll play on the Baby Lock Altair. We'll have a blast. Thanks again, Michele. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Cathy, it's been my pleasure having you join me on this week's More Sewing with Michele. Keep in mind, Cathy made this gorgeous eyeglass case that has 3 pockets. And you're going to want to check out her episode this week of Tech Talk. So check it out. And don't forget to pick up your Kraft-Tex. What are you going to create with these beautiful pieces of paper? Oh my gosh, they're so much fun. And I think that about does it for this week's More Sewing with Michele. It's been my pleasure, as usual, to have you join me. And until next week, I hope you have a fabulous time. Bye-bye!